Hey everyone, it's me, Matt. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back in Florida after visiting my family in California for the holidays, and in today's video, I'm on the hunt for a rabbit's foot fern for my garden. If you saw last week's video where I did a garden tour at my mom's house, then you saw her rabbit's foot fern towards the end of the video. So her rabbit's foot fern is my absolute favorite plant in her patio garden, and I told myself once I got back to Florida, I was gonna try to find one for my yard. So let's get into it. Here's a quick recap of my mom's rabbit's foot fern. You can see just how unique this plant really is. The roots are furry like rabbit's feet. They're literally climbing up and over the edge of the container. I think a better name for this plant would be a tarantula fern, since the roots look like spider legs crawling up and out of the pot. So for my first and hopefully my only stop in my search for my rabbit's foot fern is Lukas Nursery in East Orlando. So Lukas Nursery is my favorite garden center in Central Florida. As their website says, they're Florida's premier nursery and garden center destination, and they've been serving Central Florida for over 100 years. If you live in Central Florida, Lukas is definitely worth checking out. So let's hop in my car and head over to Lukas and find my rabbit's foot fern. All right, we made it to Lukas Nursery. Let the hunt for my rabbit's foot fern begin. We're gonna head back to the greenhouse where I know they keep the ferns. So a little bit of background on Lukas Nursery. They're a fourth generation, family owned and operated business. They have an extensive garden center with a variety of plants and flowers. They sell lawn care products, they offer design services, and they even have a butterfly garden with hundreds of butterflies and flowering plants. Here's a quick overview inside the greenhouse. There's so many cool plants, so many tropicals. There's ferns, there's pothos and monsteras. There's a ton of house plants. They've even got some life-size statues on display. There's a pterodactyl dinosaur up there. And this looks like a raptor right here. And there's even this really big giraffe. They've even got some orchids here. There's some air plants, actually a ton of air plants. They're all hanging out here on this trellis. There's some variegated bananas back there. And here we've got all the ferns. So I'm on a hunt for a rabbit's foot fern, so let me start the search. So this one kind of looks like one, but the telltale sign are those furry roots, which I'm not seeing any. This is really cool. Definitely not a rabbit's foot fern, but still really cool. Ah, here we go. This is a rabbit's foot fern. He's a little guy, and he's only $7. Can't beat that. Pulling back the leaves, you can see the little furry roots or rhizomes that are starting to grow. So as this plant matures, these rhizomes will get longer and they'll start crawling over the edge of the pot like you saw with the fern at my mom's house. So I'm really excited that I found this fern and for such a great price. So let me head to the cashier and we'll pay for this guy, and then I'll take him home and we'll plant him. So while I'm at Lukas, I thought I'd give you a quick tour of some of the property. They have just about every type of plant you can imagine. They've got an entire Florida native section. They have roses, camellias. They have a ton of different grasses. They have a ton of trees and shrubs, all different kinds and sizes. They have flowering annuals and seasonal vegetables, as well as an entire section of pots of every color, shape, and size. The containers go on and on, easily the largest selection of pots I've seen in Central Florida. You can see they've got a variety of finishes too, like terracotta, glazed, and matte finishes. Here's a look at the containers down towards the end. If you're looking for something specific for your yard, porch, or patio, I guarantee Lukas Nursery has something for you. Looking over here at their citrus section, you can see they have limes, there's lemons, tangerines, tangelos, and even oranges. Here's a look at some of their flowering plants. You can see just how colorful this section is. All in all, Lukas Nursery is definitely my favorite garden center in Central Florida. We're all paid up. I got my fern. It's time to head home. So I actually had a $10 credit on my loyalty account, so this plant was free. And I've got a little bit of a balance left that I got to use before the end of February. All right, I made it back to my house, so let's get this fern planted up. So I had this white ceramic pot that I thought would be great for my fern. It actually came with this great wooden stand. I really like that it's a white container because you'll be able to see the furry roots as the plant matures and they start crawling over the sides of the pot. I already prepped the container with soil and fertilizer. Ferns like well-draining soil that's rich in organic matter. I used this Miracle Grow cactus, palm, and citrus mix, and then amended the soil with this Dr. Earth exotic blend fertilizer. I'll be sure to link both in the video description for reference. If you're unable to get your hands on the Miracle Grow cactus, palm, and citrus mix, you can actually create your own potting medium for ferns by mixing regular potting soil half and half with sand. Before we get to planting, I wanted to give you some background information on this type of fern. So the Rabbit's Foot Fern grows best in humid conditions out of direct sunlight and thrives in temperatures above 60 degrees Fahrenheit. The plant grows and spreads by rhizomes, so the rhizomes are the fur-like root structures that the plant gets its name from. The fern is hardy in USDA zones 10 through 12, but can definitely be grown indoors as a houseplant. When fully mature, it can grow up to 36 inches tall and 40 inches wide. Let me go grab my shovel and we'll get this little fern planted in the container. My Rabbit's Foot Fern is all planted and watered in. You can see I made sure to leave the furry rhizomes above the soil when I planted the fern. This will allow them to continue to grow and cascade over the edge of the container. As far as regular care, just make sure the fern gets ample water, and if it's not growing in a humid environment, make sure to mist the rhizomes with water every few days. Like I said earlier, this fern doesn't like direct sunlight, so if it's going to be grown outdoors, make sure to put it on a covered porch or patio or anywhere with shady conditions. And if grown indoors, the fern will do best if it's placed near a north or east facing window. All right, I moved my fern to this spot on my front porch. My porch faces north, so this is a really good place for it. I think it looks so great with all my other plants in between my rocking chairs. I can't wait for it to put on some size and start crawling out of the container. I'm so glad I found this Rabbit's Foot Fern for my garden. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and consider subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate all your support. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.